Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions on YouTube and answer them here in video format. A ton of questions before this week's big Sunday night football game. No watch party this week, but there will be a post-game show after the late night edition. Hopefully the game ends around 11. But yeah, there will be a late night edition of the post-game show. And also, if you want to live chat the game with me, you could do it on the Flick app. Flick is like a Discord-like community for sports fans. It's 24/7. It's all Browns in the dog chat channel. So if you want to join me, talk live Browns with me during the game, download the Flick app in your app store, FLICK, and then put in the dog chat, DAWGCHT, dog chat community, and then you'll be able to talk Browns with me during the game and also talk Browns with other Browns fans 24/7. It's a nice little community that we have there. I believe almost 500 people are signed up. That's awesome. So check that out if that's interesting to you guys. But without further ado, let's get into these questions. All right, this first question comes from C. Zachary Chad, who says, Freddie Kitchens calling plays for Colt McCoy. Do we live in the twilight zone? Yeah, this is a weird game, right? You got all the ghosts of Cleveland Browns past. It's not just like one era of ghosts from Cleveland Browns past. You have all of the old Browns past in there. Colt McCoy was already mentioned. Freddie Kitchens already mentioned. Jabril Peppers from the 0-16 era. Remember when he would be 40 yards back because Greg Williams thought that was a good ideal? You know, you got Jabal Sheard, of all people. Kevin Zeitler. All these former Browns on this roster, on a team that Pat Shurmur used to coach. He doesn't coach anymore. You got some connections on the Cleveland Browns side. Olivier Vernon, of course, Odell would be the main connection, but he's not playing this week. So it's just like a weird game. It almost feels like the Browns have to beat the old, really crappy Browns in order to clear their way into the playoffs. That's really what it feels like. Like the new Browns, the new organization, the thing that the Browns are trying to become behind Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, have to just kind of kill the ghost of Browns past. And the ghost of Browns past has taken the form of a Sunday night football game against the New York Giants. It's super weird. It feels like it's Twilight Zone-y. I get it, but I do think that Kevin Stefanski is capable and well-equipped enough to be able to take care of business on Sunday night. But boy, I would not be telling you the truth if I didn't tell you that was not weird, right? Next question comes from JSD, who says, Ayo, Quincy, love the vids and love been watching since you drafted Grant Delpit. With Daniel Jones being questionable, are you more worried about McCoy saying that he beat the Seahawks? I see this a lot, right? Colt McCoy beat the Seattle Seahawks. And everybody goes, oh my gosh. I actually went back and watched the game. Now, Colt McCoy did everything he kind of needed to do. He did throw an interception in the game. But, he did not fumble the ball multiple times like Daniel Jones did. He literally, when we talk about game managing, I feel people have a skewed interest in what game managing actually is. What Colt McCoy did in that game was just game managing, right? They scored 17 points. They beat Seattle. And the main thing I saw was Seattle just shooting themselves in the foot, not coming out crisp, not coming out ready to play. And again, if you do that against the Giants, you will not win. So the Cleveland Browns do need to make an emphasis to come out like they did against Baltimore, like they have against Tennessee, in order to win this game. But if they do, they'll take care of business. If they don't, they keep the score low. They let New York hang in there with the low score. Yeah, Colt McCoy can beat you. But that's how Colt McCoy did that against the Seahawks. The Browns can avoid that by simply coming out ready to play like they have the last 2 weeks. I hope that is the case. This next question comes from Corey Clayton, who says, is this a must-win game to keep up the heat that we've been playing with? I wouldn't say it's a must-win game, but it's a really want-to-win game. The Browns in these next 3 games to close out the season, they can get into the playoffs if they just get one of them. They will definitely get into the playoffs if they get 2 of them. And, of course, they will secure whatever seed they want, the 5 seed, if they get all 3 of them. That's the Browns' path. 3 gets you 5. 2, you might get 6. You might get 7. It determines on how some of these tiebreakers break down, but you'll probably be behind Baltimore at that point. And, if you win 1, hey, you're really pushing it at that point. So it's not a must-win game, but it's definitely a game that the Browns should win. And given what the impact can be to the standings, you really would like to win. This next question comes from Noah, who says, is Baker a top 10 quarterback? My list is Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, Watson, Breeze, Brady, Allen, Baker, Lamar, Kyler. I would take Lamar out. I mean, not Lamar. I would take Kyler out, put Lamar ahead of Baker, put Baker at probably like 10. I would also take Watson out. I don't know who I would add. I would take Brady and Breeze out as well. I don't think any of those three quarterbacks have played at a top 10 level this season. I think it's rather obvious. I would bump up Lamar if that's the case. And then, that would keep Kyler in. I would have to do a whole nother video on it to kind of get a clear picture of it, but that's kind of where I stand with it based on this list that you sent me to kind of just start off. This next question comes from the Browns fan, or that Browns fan, who says, hey, Quincy, how do we handle the Giants on Sunday Night Football? Since the Giants are a 5-win team, I wouldn't worry that much, but since they've beaten the Seattle Seahawks, I'm worrying what will happen on Sunday. By the way, Sunday is my birthday. Well, happy birthday to you in advance. Hopefully the Browns bring it home, and you can celebrate on my post-game live stream. Cheap plug, I know. But what the Browns need to do, if they come out and just ready to handle business, right, like they did against Tennessee, like they did against Baltimore, and I know I'm sounding repetitive, they will win this game. If they come out sloppy, not ready to go like they did against Jacksonville, they will lose. But if they come out just ready to play, running the ball well, doing the right things, Kevin Stefanski calls a good game, they should win. They are well equipped to attack the things that New York Giants don't cover well, which are screens, which are counter runs. They can do those quite well. They have the personnel. You got Nick Chubb, and you should be able to win that game and win it comfortably if you come out playing like it is a playoff game or something on that level. We'll see how they come out. It was a thriller that they played on Monday Night Football. Will they have a lull? Kind of worried about that, but again, this is Sunday Night Football, so maybe the lull will be delayed until the Jets, and against the Jets, you can have a lull and still beat the Jets. But that's the situation. The Browns can win this game. If you want more in-depth thoughts, I have the preview up where I talk about how exactly I would like the Browns to attack and what the Giants actually do really well. This next question comes from Rhett, who says, do you think the Browns will use Hunt as a wide receiver more versus the Giants after seeing success against the Ravens? Absolutely. Kareem Hunt's going to be a huge factor in this game plan from the receiving standpoint. I think he's going to see a ton of screens. I think he's going to be a decoy a lot. I think he's going to be split out wide when the Browns go 5 wide or like go empty and put Kareem Hunt out wide so he can get matched up on a linebacker. Yes, all these things will happen. You'll see Kareem Hunt as a receiver a ton. I would think you would see him more as a receiver this week than you would normally see him as a runner. This next question comes from Brett Phillips, who says, hey, Q, when is the secondary going to be healthy and ready for the playoffs? Or will the secondary be healthy and ready for the playoffs? It's going to be up to if Denzel Ward can get back healthy and can stay healthy. That's the most important part, right? He's going to get back healthy before the playoffs. Will he stay healthy? That's one thing. Also, another big question is Ronnie Harrison. He's coming off of that collarbone shoulder injury. I've heard that he's been recovering quite well from that injury and that he might be back before people expect him to be. Right now, the current range is 4 to 6 weeks from that injury. So that would be the week before the Steelers game or the week after the first round of the playoffs. So hopefully it's the week before the Steelers game he comes back, or the week after the Steelers game if the Browns do make the playoffs. So that's going to be a big factor for the Cleveland Browns in the secondary getting healthy, is when can Ronnie Harrison get back? Hopefully he can get back sooner than most people expect, because I do think the sooner he gets back, the more he can get acclimated before playoff time, the better that will be for the secondary in the long run. Next question comes from Giants Nation, who is enemy territory today, who says, what's up, Q? Hope we can still be friends after my Giants destroy the Browns. You are awfully confident okay. My question is, do you think Big Ben is shaking in his cleats on Monday night after seeing Baker and Lamar being the future of their teams? I think for Pittsburgh, it kind of got real to them in a way that it hasn't been all season, because they have been undefeated. They have been so good this year that they have not had to worry about their standing. They won't have to worry. They just got to beat Cincinnati as far as the AFC North goes. So In that sense, for 2020, I don't think he's shaking in his boots. But as far as the future goes, if you're Big Ben, you're seeing this getting a little bit more difficult. We already saw what Joe Burrow can do in Cincinnati. Now, that's going to be all dependent on Cincinnati's ability to be competent around Joe Burrow. And if they keep Zach Taylor, I'm not going to be very confident in their ability to be competent. We know what the Ravens are. We know how good the Ravens can be, and when they're playing well, how dominant they can be. And so do the Steelers. And now you're starting to get a peek at what the Browns can do, because everybody knew the Browns could run the ball. But when you're worried about the Browns offense as a one-dimensional offense, it's one thing. Now when you're worried about having a game plan for their quarterback, that's a whole nother bag of tricks there. So Big Ben might be looking at the writing on the wall and saying, hey, maybe this last contract I signed should be my last one, because it looks like I'm going to be aging out. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, you need to start focusing on getting young at that quarterback position, not necessarily pushing Big Ben out all the way, but have better contingency plans than Mason Rudolph, because in an AFC North that does have Joe Burrow, that does have Baker Mayfield, that does have Lamar Jackson, three guys who you can right now project to be franchise quarterbacks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, once Big Ben retires, and Father Time's undefeated, so he will retire one day, you are in the very back of the saddle when it comes to what your options are. You're looking at Mason Rudolph, which is a massive step down to what that rest of the division has, and you don't want to be the team with the worst quarterback in the division, because that normally means fourth place. But that's the situation Big Ben's in and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization in. And it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves going forward, because Big Ben doesn't seem like the guy who's going to take well to Pittsburgh trying to find his replacement when he still thinks he can play well. This next question comes from Robert Kane, who says, hey, Quincy, love your work. Never miss a video. What do you think of the whole Marcus Peters situation, and what can we expect the next time they match up? Hopefully, Jarvis doesn't get physical with it. I understand why he would want to get physical with it, because that was just extremely disrespectful when Marcus Peters says. And I don't care what people from the Ravens organization say. We know what it looks like when somebody spits on somebody or attempts to spit on you. And we know full well that if you spit your loogie towards the direction of another human being, you know the can of worms you just opened. Like, I would never, ever in my life spit in the direction of somebody by accident. That doesn't happen, right? When you spit, it's like vomiting, right? If you vomit, you don't look for somebody to vomit. You purposely find the space not to. So all that space Marcus Peters had, he looked at Jarvis, he spit a loogie. He knew what he was doing there. So I don't want to hear no excuses from Ravens fans or the Ravens organization talking about, well, Marcus didn't do it. That would be like if I came on here after week 10 last year and told you Miles didn't really swing a helmet. Like, that's so oblivious to reality that it's frustrating that they chose to go that route. And it's just disrespectful. As far as Marcus Peters goes, disrespect breeds bad karma. So however that manifests from Marcus Peters, I don't know. I'm not going to wish ill things on him, but I do know if you go around carrying yourself as somebody who's willing to spit on another human being during the pandemic, well, most of the time the universe is pretty good at correcting itself for that. But that's my thoughts on that situation. I'm not happy with how the Ravens came out. I'm very disappointed. That's supposed to be a top flight organization, and they came out and played the clown card. Just sad for them. The next question comes from Racer Berkeley, who says, do you think Miles can have 4 sacks this game? Not if Colt McCoy plays. I think Colt's going to get rid of the ball. I don't think they're going to have a ton of success on offense doing that, but they will at least keep down the sack numbers. This next question comes from Elias Fagan, who says, how do you feel about Freddie Kitchens calling plays against the Browns bot squad? And this is the last question of the day. Look, man, I know it's a huge storyline, but I don't think Freddie Kitchens is going to be a positive or a negative calling the plays. He's not really going to have enough time to install new things. He's just going to be calling the same plays that Jason Garrett installed. And to give Freddie Kitchens credit, when he was doing that in 2018, it was actually pretty good. So, I don't expect it to be a big deal either way. If the Giants offense plays bad, like I anticipate them to do, people will make it about Freddie Kitchens. I don't think it has much to do with Freddie Kitchens. But if he comes out and, he calls a great game and beats the Browns, hats off to him. But I just don't think it's going to be a massive story on Sunday. But that's my thoughts on this week's questions. Again, guys, thank you for asking them. Have a great day. Have a good night.